In the bustling markets of Lagos, where the air is thick with the sounds of bargaining and the scent of fresh produce, life moves at a relentless pace. And in the quiet villages of Sokoto, where families gather under the shade of ancient trees, one number looms large: 129 million. That's the staggering estimate of Nigerians living below the national poverty line in 2024, more than half the nation's population, each with their own story, their own struggle. This isn't just a statistic, it's the daily reality for millions. Parents forced to choose between medicine and food, between sending a child to school or keeping them home to help earn a living. It's the heartbreak of students dropping out, their dreams put on hold by circumstances beyond their control. It's the frustration of farmers whose hard work is no longer enough, as changing weather and rising costs threaten their livelihoods. In recent years, this number has surged, reflecting not just economic hardship, but dreams deferred and futures left uncertain. You see it in families eating smaller meals, stretching what little they have to last another day. You see it in the return to firewood for cooking, as gas and kerosene become unaffordable luxuries for many households. And you see it in the quiet desperation that lingers in everyday life, in the faces of those who wonder what tomorrow will bring. 129 million is not just a data point, it's a national crisis, a measure of stifled potential and lost opportunities for generations. Understanding this number is the first step to confronting the reality it represents, and to finding solutions that can change lives. In this video, we'll break down what the poverty line means, why it matters for every Nigerian, and how it shapes the future of the country. We'll look at the forces driving this alarming rise, from inflation and unemployment to the rising cost of basic goods and services. The story of Nigeria's poverty line is the story of its people, of resilience, hope, and the urgent need for change. It's a story that demands our attention and action. The poverty line is a threshold, a dividing line that helps us understand who can afford the basics of life and who cannot. It's not just a number, but a tool that shapes how we see and address poverty in society. If you live above this line, your basic needs like food, shelter, and clothing are generally met. But if you fall below it, daily life becomes a struggle, and essentials may be out of reach. In Nigeria, there are two main ways to measure poverty. The first is the national poverty line, which is carefully calculated to reflect the actual cost of living in Nigeria, taking into account local prices and needs. The second is the international poverty line, set by the World Bank. This line allows us to compare poverty across different countries using a common standard. The national line is based on the cost of a basic needs basket, covering essentials like food, housing, healthcare, and education. It's designed to reflect what it truly costs to live a minimally decent life in Nigeria. Anyone spending less than this amount is officially considered poor by Nigerian standards and may need support to meet their daily needs. The international poverty line, currently set at $2.15 per day, uses purchasing power parity to account for differences in cost of living around the world. It helps us see how poverty in Nigeria compares to poverty elsewhere. Both lines are important. The national line guides local policy and helps the government target resources where they're needed most. Meanwhile, the international line shows how Nigeria's progress stacks up against other countries, highlighting global challenges and successes. Together, these two measures offer both a close-up look at individual hardship and a wide-angle view of poverty's impact across the nation and the world. They help us ask, are Nigerians able to afford a basic Nigerian life? What does it mean to live with dignity and opportunity? And how does that compare to the rest of the world? These questions are at the heart of understanding poverty. These measures shape how we understand and fight poverty. They inform policies, inspire action, and remind us that behind every statistic is a real person with real hopes and challenges. The poverty line isn't just a number, it's the starting point for real change and a better future for all. Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics, or NBS, leads the charge in measuring poverty. Through nationwide household surveys, the NBS collects detailed data on what families actually spend on food, rent, school fees, and more. This consumption-based approach is more reliable than income surveys, especially in a country where earnings can be unpredictable. The NBS calculates the cost of a basic needs basket, food for minimum calories, plus essentials like shelter and clothing. This total, updated regularly to reflect rising prices, becomes the official poverty line. Without this data, policymakers would be flying blind. The NBS's work is the foundation for targeting help where it's needed most. The 2024 data is stark. 129 million Nigerians, 56% of the population, now live below the poverty line. This is a sharp jump from 40% in 2018, driven mainly by relentless inflation. Food prices have soared, with staples like rice and bread eating up more of family budgets. For many, this means skipping meals, abandoning clean cooking gas, and struggling just to survive. Economic growth isn't reaching the most vulnerable, jobs are scarce, and wages can't keep up with costs. The poverty crisis is deepening faster than prosperity can catch up. The numbers are a wake-up call. Survival, not progress, is now the reality for millions. Poverty in Nigeria takes on many faces, and its impact is deeply shaped by geography. Where you are born or where you live can determine your opportunities, your access to basic services, and even your future. In rural areas, poverty rates are highest. Millions of families depend on fragile subsistence farming, making them vulnerable to droughts and poor harvests. Many rural communities lack reliable access to quality education, healthcare, and even clean water, making it difficult to break the cycle of poverty. In contrast, urban slums are densely populated and often overcrowded, with families squeezed into small spaces. Yet cities like Lagos still offer more opportunities for jobs, education, and social mobility than the countryside, drawing people in search of a better life. The north-south divide is especially stark. In the north, poverty is more severe, driven by years of conflict, displacement, and lower levels of education. Many families have been forced from their homes, and entire communities struggle to recover. Insecurity and violence have devastated entire regions, destroying livelihoods and deepening hardship for millions of people. These differences demand targeted solutions. Rural areas need investment in agriculture, infrastructure, and schools, while cities require more jobs, affordable housing, and better services to support their growing populations. If we ignore these geographic fault lines, the gap between rich and poor will only widen, fueling division and unrest across the country. In Nigeria, your location still powerfully shapes your chances of escaping poverty, and addressing these divides is key to building a more equal future for all. The poverty line isn't just a number, it's a tool for action. For government, it pinpoints where help is needed most and measures if policies are working. NGOs and aid groups use the data to target resources and design effective programs. Businesses track poverty rates to understand market limits and opportunities for affordable products. The numbers hold leaders accountable and empower citizens to demand results. Tracking poverty is a national report card, a call to action for everyone. It keeps the plight of the poor visible and urgent. Without it, interventions would be guesswork. The poverty line guides Nigeria's fight for a fairer future. Counting poverty in Nigeria is a massive challenge. Remote villages, urban slums, and conflict zones are hard to reach, and some of the most vulnerable may be missed. The poverty line draws a sharp line, but reality is more complex. There's a big difference between just below the line and deep, multi-dimensional poverty. High inflation and currency swings can quickly make official numbers outdated. Large surveys take time, so data can lag behind real-life changes. That's why stories, like families switching to firewood, matter as much as statistics. Numbers give us the skeleton. Lived experiences provide the flesh and blood. To truly understand poverty, we need both. If nothing changes, poverty in Nigeria could climb even higher, with projections warning of rates above 60% in coming years. But this future isn't set in stone. The first step: tame inflation with sound economic policies. Invest in job-creating sectors, especially agriculture, to boost food security and rural incomes. Strengthen social safety nets, cash transfers, school meals, health insurance to protect the most vulnerable. Invest in education and healthcare for long-term resilience. Empower local communities to design solutions that fit their needs. Progress will require bold leadership, tough choices, and unity across society. The path out of poverty is hard, but possible. The right actions today can change Nigeria's future. 129 million Nigerians in poverty is more than a statistic. It's a national call to action. The question is, what kind of country do we want to be? Government must lead with bold, compassionate policies, fighting inflation, investing in people, and building an inclusive economy. The private sector should create decent jobs and support inclusive growth. Civil society must keep advocating and holding leaders accountable. As individuals, we can support local businesses, join community efforts, and raise our voices for change. The challenge is immense, but so is Nigeria's potential. Let's meet this moment with urgency, unity, and determination to build a nation where no one is left behind.